SmackDown was way better than Raw this week. I'm just gonna start this thing by saying that. They managed to feature everything about every match that's taking place on the pay-per-view, and they did it in ways that were fun to watch. So without further ado, let's take a look at this thing.
What?
Ha! I laughed heartily when I saw Owens and Zayn going around handing out the posters of Shane McMahon for their Yep movement. It was hilarious. It's such a them thing to do. So the show started off for me with a big stupid grin on my face, and that's never a bad start to a wrestling show.
What?
And then the laughs continued because AJ and the Sings had a pretty entertaining verbal back and forth. And since they actually came out to their own new music this time, it made me wonder, could they be separating from Jinder sooner than later and going off on their own as a tag team? Because they can certainly be entertaining guys, as they showed in their segment with AJ. They could be Santino-like in their manner, and they pretty much already are, and since they're smaller guys, it would just work. But anyway, AJ eventually threw them both out of the ring because he told them that he wasn't buying any of their bullshit, and it was just a good start to the show.
What?
And then we had a women's match between Charlotte Flair. Don't forget that she's a Flair, because you just can't say Charlotte by itself anymore. It's against pro wrestling etiquette. And Ruby Riott, with Natalya on commentary and the rest of the squad at ringside, and it was fine. The women put on a decent show. The women that weren't in the match eventually got involved, and Charlotte was fending them off by herself momentarily until she literally ran into a clothesline by Natalya. You know, I recently listened to one of the most recent episodes of Killing the Town, hosted by Lance Storm and Don Callis, and Don mentioned that all the women's matches, even the better ones, all look like a cooperative effort instead of like an actual physical confrontation, and when Charlotte just turned around and ran like 5 feet straight and right into Natalya's waiting arm, that criticism came to mind. So that killed a bit of the moment for me. The women continued to beat on Charlotte a bit more until they set her up under the steel steps by the ramp like they did to Naomi to take her out, and I think that spot too doesn't really do it for me. They showed Charlotte at an angle in which you could clearly see that the distance between her face and the angled steps was little, and really, since the steps are angled to begin with, what real damage will that do? It didn't do it for me the first time, and it really didn't do it for me again the second time. But regardless, Naomi returned and stormed down to save Charlotte. The Riot Squad ran off and were then attacked by Tamina, Lana, and Carmella until they got away from them too, and that was that. The commentator said it best. It's gonna be a complete clusterfuck of women come Sunday.
What?
Bobby Roode hit both Ziggler and Corbin with his glorious DDT as his form of payback while the two were having their match, and he was on commentary before that, and he really was glorious on commentary. I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. It's always nice to hear good commentary on WWE programming. Oh, and both Corbin and Ziggler made Roode's DDT look devastating, so props to them both for that. I wasn't so high on the idea of their triple threat on Sunday, but knowing them, it'll be a good show, and hopefully they'll get some time to put it on.
What?
It was revealed that the Fashion Police will finally wrestle again, and it's happening on Sunday when they take on the Bludgeon Bros. So, the latter certainly aren't gonna lose on Sunday, so the outcome of that is predictable, but when you take into consideration that these are 4 men that can tear it up in the ring, it should make for a very entertaining match. So I'm all for that. Oh, and you can't tell by the image on your screen, but it was Colin fucking Delaney in there with his partner whose name I can't remember, but you know who I'm talking about, because the guy screamed like a little girl and I laughed my ass off when he did. I remember Colin Delaney from the WWE ECW days when he would get destroyed every week. And I remember that I heard something about him a few years ago, so I knew he was wrestling in the independent scene back then, but I had completely forgotten about the guy. He looked so fucking different. I thought he was Daniel Bryan from years ago when he had shorter hair and beard, which would only make sense because I remember people saying that the two are related. Don't know if that's true, but hey, him and the Wilhelm Screamer sold everything fantastically and made the bros look like the wrecking balls that they are.
What?
2 words. Entertaining and funny as fuck. Wait, those were more than 2 words. I'm not terribly good at math. But anyway, that's how I describe the entire segment with Daniel Bryan, Owens, and Zayn, because that's exactly what it was. Being the chicken shit heels that they are, they sucked up plenty to the GM, and although they didn't get the major stipulation removed from their match like they wanted, Daniel Bryan took enough pity on them to tell them, "Alright guys, I'll be the second referee in your match this Sunday." And the commentators went, "What? What the fuck does that even mean?" And knowing the WWE, it probably isn't the first time this thing has happened, and I'm pretty sure I've seen a match or two like it in years past, but nothing comes to my mind just off the top of my head, and with the hints that Daniel doesn't fully support all that Shane's been doing to both guys, it looks to me like they're likely to butt heads during the match and try to overrule each other. Some will like the idea, but when you have 6 ridiculously talented performers in the ring, I can't think of it not being fun to watch.
What?
How does SmackDown, having one less hour than Raw, manage to do a great job of featuring pretty much their entire tag team division in a way that made sense and that was entertaining to top it all off? Aiden English and Rusev beat New Day last week, and they beat the actual tag champs this week. If that doesn't raise their stock, then I don't know what will. It's always badass to see a performer rise up and make chicken salad out of chicken shit, as they say, out of a bad situation, and this is that latest case, and it's great to see. So if you didn't believe that they were credible threats to the Usos before, after these past 2 shows, you really should think so now.
What?
The main event stuff was really good too. Any wrestling fan worth their fandom knows how good Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura are, even if we haven't seen the best of Nakamura yet on the main roster, and they put on a damned good show. And although Saxton, Graves, and Bryan spent pretty much the entirety of the match debating about how fair Bryan was gonna be now that he's the second referee and all, and I can understand that not being to everyone's liking, but in this case, I feel that it heightened the idea of what a big deal the match is. It made me care about it even more. And that does it. Twice in a row, SmackDown has been better than Raw. It's been said before and it'll be said again. SmackDown is a nice 2 hours and not 3, and this episode kept me entertained the whole way through. Everything just worked this week. It was great to see. What did you think of SmackDown? Will you be tuning in for Clash of Champions this weekend? I know this guy sure will. Don't forget to hit a yep on the subscribe button, but until then, I'll see you here for the Clash of Champions edition of 20 by 20. So toodles!